when you're in an environment where you allow the people that you look up to or the people that you share this space with, and they tell you that this opportunity is the only opportunity that's given to us, you buy into that, right? Until you have someone come in or you're introduced to another environment that tell you otherwise. Hey, my dad used to always say, I don't want you to follow, I raised you to think.
Come on, man.
Because what happens is, my father said, if I tell you what to do when I'm not around, you'll follow the next strongest person.
Welcome to Catch the Moment podcast. I am your host, David Tyree.
It is caught by Tyree. That's a great catch by David Tyree. Oh my God. This ball's thrown and Tyree just goes up for it like a basketball player.
All right, welcome back to Catch the Moment podcast. It's your host, David Tyree. It's your boy. We checking in, get you on the road, the journey, to the process, the pain points, how to overcome, get you to your next moment. Today, I'm here with new family. We're in the building, Brick City's own. You already know Garden State always represents but the best. It's Rahmean, Popz, more. Respect, family. Welcome to the pod, bro.
Oh man, thank you for having me, bro. Thank you for having me. Long time coming.
Oh, listen, man. We caught up on a building session talking about being real men. And I could tell, you get that post fellowship dialogue, like, oh, this the man of wisdom right here. This Yoda in the hood.
Hey, right. Listen.
What's good, though? Everything well?
Man, listen, life's amazing despite the obstacles, I always say.
I love it. So first question, we always like to start off, we got to get a little helmet catch moment. So, like, where were you? Any story, any memory, the first time you ever saw the helmet catch? What you got for me?
I was actually where we was watching. My brother's a Giants fan, so I have to be. I have both of my brothers. We was at my house when the helmet catch happened, and I remember it was one of those things. My brother actually almost missed it because he was talking, and the ball went up in the air, and I remember everybody froze, and it was like, oh. And my brother was like, what happened? And I was like, nothing yet. And then that was when it happened. And so I grew up with the Giants being a big part of my household.
Okay, so the bro was a Giants fan. Who was your squad? No squad? Wasn't deep in?
I was a Colts fan.
A Colts fan?
I was a Colts fan, bro.
So I was a 49er fan. At least they was winning in the 80s.
Nah, Peyton Manning. I actually watched a lot of college.
So you caught on with the Peyton Manning wave. Okay.
Peyton Manning, yep. And the thing about my house, especially with the Giants, and I always have a love for the Giants, my mom is from Baltimore. And so there wasn't a Baltimore Ravens thing. It was Washington, D.C.
I got you.
My dad and my mom were between New York Giants and the Washington Redskins growing up in the 80s and the 90s was like...
It was going at it.
Wartime on Sundays. Twice a year, wartime on Sundays.
That's dope. All right, so we got a little story there. Brother was in the moment, and you came through, make sure he didn't miss it. So That's love. So, Pop, you got a lot. I mean, like, we're going to definitely dig into the journey, but you got author, business advisor, entrepreneur, executive director. Now, is it
211 Community Impact.
Excellent. 211 Community Impact, Executive Director. Man, a lot of seasoned wisdom at this point in your life. What would you say, I'm going to get to the hard question first, is your most defining moment? What's a defining moment along the way in your journey in any area?
I remember being on stage giving a speech about the changes in the community. And I was running off a list of things that we had did for the community, providing services, families in crisis, tools and resources for people to become better. And I remember I looked up at the crowd and I said, wow, today is the moment that I finally became the person I needed when I was younger for someone else. And that was important because growing up, a lot of people, no matter how it ended up, a lot of people where we come from, they just looking for tools and resources to either sustain their families, empower themselves, or just find a way to get out of their current situation. Yep. Whether it turns out into prison, some of them are able to overcome it. most people are just looking for a beacon of light.
Big facts.
And I think, that's our responsibility. I think for all of us is to become a safe place, become a safe person, because you never know who around you may need you in a certain instance. And I think that's important.
Bro, that's powerful. So in that moment where you were giving your speech, it was a moment of realization of, man, that's embodying what you actually needed.
Right.
And that's full circle. That's a powerful moment. Thanks for sharing that. Because when you talk about being what we need, now we can get into setting, Newark, New Jersey is now, it's reaching its almost like, I want to say a peak of revitalization, right. But, you being a native, you probably can remember, projects being torn down and so talk about the evolution even of, because, most people just know Cory Booker, Prudential Center, I can remember Mulberry Street with the bricks in them,
Right,
so
right.
I'm from Essex County, even though I never lived in Newark. My cousins was right on Munn. So talk to me about what this time and this evolution and what excelling and maturing in this environment has meant to you.
Oh man, I think it's two parts. I think we were closing out when I was, growing up in the 90s. I think we was closing out where you had to have lineage or you had to know somebody in order to find yourself into certain positions in the world, or you was given a job or a place of employment based on where your aunts or your uncles was at, right?
Big time.
And so a lot of people use whatever resource was around them, which was the drug trade at the time.
Big time.
And so that's how a lot of families were able to sustain. And so, having opportunities or having those outlets weren't there. So as you started looking through time, Newark started taking a real good look at changing things based on what they implemented, right?
Okay.
So they started looking at what was causing the crimes, right? The break-ins, right? Being able to give people schooling and bringing in all of these resources as far as education-wise, as far as job employment, second chances, because, how could they fight recidivism?
Correct.
Right? So they're looking at the population and they're like, okay, so if we educate them, we give them the resources, if we bring in these other Fortune 500 companies or these other companies that's willing to bring in people who may have, made mistakes, right? And then forcing the schools to partner with other colleges and other universities or secondary trades where it allowed for them to have a pipeline outside of the public school to prison pipeline.
No, what you're talking about is powerful, right? Because, and of course, in disproportionate measures, minority communities have been stricken by poverty. 1967, I believe, was the Newark riots. Mm-hmm. And, now we're just starting to see the beginning of true recovery. I know that the current mayor just been respectfully heralded for the progress that Cory Booker and even Mayor Sharp James, everybody has different viewpoints on so many of these impactful figures. And it's not only them, but it's been a progression for many, many, many years. So when you talk about collaboration is what I heard, community is what I heard. I heard redemption in relation, we talk about second chance, because resources is really what people lack, right? Whether the resource with education, whether the resource with finances. So talk to me about some of your journey, formatively. You talk about having solid parents, but still getting caught up in the loop. So formatively, what were some of the traps that you fell into and how you began to see yourself, revive in light of falling through some of those thickets and making poor decisions?
Environments, right? Family. You trust who you trust.
Yeah.
And you do as the Romans do until you recognize that you're not a Roman nor you're in Rome. Right?
Who is this guy?
And so it's very important to recognize that.
Yeah.
And so when you're in an environment where you allow the people that you look up to or the people that you share this space with, and they tell you that this opportunity is the only opportunity that's given to us, you buy into that, right? Until you have someone come in or you're introduced to another environment that tell you otherwise.
Big facts.
And that's what happened with me. You know, I happened to grow up in the projects, right? This is what we do.
Yeah.
This is how we survive. Uncles, cousins, aunts. My parents worked tirelessly, went back to school to get educations in order for us. You know, I remember when my parents first bought a house and moved us in 1993.
Yeah.
It was like one of the greatest things that I think I had ever experienced, even though we only moved to the other side of town. And it was crazy because it was foreign.
Yeah.
Because we didn't hear anything. I didn't sleep well because there was no ambient noises that I grew up with.
This is some real. I just got you. Like, people don't have. It's like people don't understand Jersey, especially in how micro, hyper local Jersey is. You could be in the same town, same spot, and right around the corner is carnage. 10 blocks over,
and you're in a whole different world.
Crazy.
Like, literally, it happens like that. But Newark, like, literally, when you are, like, I look at a lot of the children today, right? And just to fast forward, again, being a person that provides information, right? Because information changes situation, I always say. Because when I had no information, I thought where I was actually doing the right thing. I thought that it was part of our fight to freedom against the system.
Against the system.
Because the system was created to keep us down. So the only way to win was to use what was provided to us, which was the drug trade, right? And then you find out that, people just used it as a viable employment option.
Yeah.
Right? Like, a lot, they will tell you the story and it's like, well, did you try to get a job? No, they ain't gonna give me no job. Well, did you try to go back to school? Man, they ain't giving me no. And then when you step out into the world and you recognize that they have schooling and they have funding for money and they have all these different things, you're just not taking you're just not taking a chance on the information,
or you don't know how to get to it, right? And it's both of them. But if we create ourselves, the hardest thing to get out of is the victim mentality, right? Oh my gosh. And we talking about well-able, capable people still today of all colors, right? Nowadays, victim mentality, man. They're not just, who is they? We would love to know who they are. Right, like, and I understand there are systems of oppression. We're not ignoring the fact that there's systems of oppression, but that's the power of free thinking, free will, and then recognizing. So what you're getting into is probably 100 years for especially for African Americans, preconditioned to believe that there are some systems that no longer exist. Right. Some systems actually have been broken down, and there are actual resources that you actually now have to be equipped to go get. And you do need, like you said, you became what you needed. Right. Man, so that's just super powerful. Who were the people for you, like I said, because you eventually, like I said, I had my run-ins with the law in middle school. Right. And athletics was my way out. How did you begin to find your way out? I know you found your way in construction. What was that way out? How did you find it?
Through construction, and again, Dupree Kelly, Juan Rivera.
Big shout out to the councilman.
Right. And so I originally met Councilman Kelly when I was 13. He came to my house with my brother. They both attended Shaw University. And he came to my house one day, and I remember one of my original scuffles in school was about, because we had a substitute teacher. They rolled the what's name and they was playing video music box, and they came on. Psycho came on. I'm like, he was at my house, and they was like, no, he wasn't. And so, like, we kind of got into a scuffle about it. Yeah. And so fast forward, I'm on my porch one day. A gentleman walked by the name of Juan Rivera, and he's like, hey, you ever think about voting? And I'm like, nah, ain't nobody voting. I don't even want to talk about
Not at all.
So, and when I tell you this is one of the strangest conversations ever, and he's trying to explain to me what the power of one vote means. And he's like, you're smart. We're going back and forth. So my phone rings, and it's my oldest brother. So I pick up the phone, and I'm like, hey, what's going on, bro? And I called him by his middle name, Fish. Well, nickname that we call him. Yeah. And he hears me. He says, Fish, what's your brother's first name? While I'm on the phone, I said, Dante. Yeah. He was like, did he go to East Side? I'm like, yeah. He was like, can I talk to him? Pick up the phone. They say something about East Side. He's like, oh, and they having this conversation. So that was a connection. I always go back to we trust who we trust. So he says, you know what? Why don't you just come hang out with me? I live right around the corner. So I started to go hang out with him. Lo and behold, me being around him, he began championing a lot of my thinking. And so
he validated. He was able to really validate. You talk about champion your thinking. This is powerful. That's powerful
information because, again, we trust who we trust. So now my brother said he was okay. So now whenever we go places, especially coming from the environment, we always ask ourselves a couple of questions. Is this about to put me in a position of hurt, harm, or danger?
There you go.
Right? Yeah. And normally when we're talking to people that we know and we can remove that, we're kind of open and susceptible for whatever it is they're about to give us.
Vulnerability, right? Absolutely. Right.
So now when he's like, nah, I read these books. Take this book.
Sure. And
lo and behold, fast forward, there's a book that he gave me back then, Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon
How old were you
Hill.
At this point? Because that's
I was probably 25.
Man,
I was probably 25.
God bless you. That's a game changer.
Right?
That's one of the most talked about books.
And it's so
generations.
Fast forward, anybody that I mentor or I advise for Christmas, I always gift them that book. So I buy 10 to 20 of them every year, and I gift those books to guys that I help out because I think it's important that we have access to information.
Absolutely.
The greatest part of breaking down poverty mentality is you providing the option information that counteracts it and makes it smooth. Right? Because if you grow up in an environment where they tell you have to fight for everything, then I have to be able to show you that you don't have to fight. You can just walk into a place. And it's okay because we fear what we don't understand.
Yeah, it is.
And so that's a part of that life that I think changed for me.
Man, and so that deposit begins a shift in trajectory in your life.
Absolutely.
Man, that's just super dope because, like I said, we call them mentors, and I tell people at the end of the day, whether you call them a mentor, a teacher, a leader, a coach, a disciple, a pastor, whatever it is, you have to have people in position to lead you where you've never been, right?
Say it again.
But bro, the biggest obstacle, because I'm gonna tell you what the power of a book really does, right? Is like sometimes you already know there's places you've been to that you already know, and you're trying to help somebody, but they don't want your help. To me, that's the power of a book, because I don't have to fight for your buy-in. Right. I can give you some information. I can still be a conduit to information. I got the information, but you might not believe me just yet. The power of the book is it evens the playing field, and it gives you a different level of authority, where it's less, like, honestly, I think we could attest to this as especially young African American men with a lot of historical father issues. We have difficult trusting. We have difficult believing, right? So somebody who's OG on the block, you young and dumb, you don't want to believe him, but if I can at least give you this book, if I can at least give you this information that says whoever wrote this book knows something.
Right.
I know something, but you don't want to believe me yet.
Right.
So there's so much wisdom in that. I just want to acknowledge that. All right, so now we talk about turning point. Like, all right, so let me get into a real moment right here, because like I said, we've gone through some of the school of hard knocks. What was the biggest loss, and how did you overcome it?
I lost both of my parents a year apart from each other.
At what point was this? Talk about this, and how did you?
That was part of probably going back and thinking about it. That was a part of my process of becoming better, because I wasn't my best self when I lost both of my parents.
How old were you at the time? Because it's never an easy time.
I was 25.
So
I lost my dad at 24, and I lost my mother 3 months prior to me turning 25 and her turning 50.
Jeez. And you weren't stable, like true to life stable at this time.
I was probably at my worst. I probably was at my worst person at that time, and I think that was the switch that when we was lowering my mother in the ground, I had to apologize for a lot. And that was the moment. That's a moment that is hard to share with yourself, because I knew what she gave me. I knew what her level of expectation was. I knew she loved me good, bad, or indifferent. But I never got a chance to show her what her loving did. Yeah. So now I'm grieving. Yeah. And I'm still full of disappointment.
Man, thanks for sharing that, brother, because those are real things, right? Like, that's a real thing. Grieving and still experiencing the disappointment. What was the process of really finding peace and reconciling, and who was a part of that? Because you're talking about that kind of time frame, that kind of loss. Right. You only get one parent. I lost my mom at 27. Right. And I didn't have the depth of regret, but there were still things that I wish I could have communicated. Right? Like I tell people, regret is not, it's a part of the human experience, right? What we want to get past is like the deep sense of condemnation and guilt that comes, that you can't get beyond, right? Like you want to get past that. So there has to be some people in a process, and usually it's a dark alley that you got to find a light. But who was a part of that process of healing when you consider that amount of loss? Usually our parents.
You're right. It was a lot of people, man. My
Thank
cousin,
God.
My cousin, he was there. Like, probably one of my favorite people. With my other cousin, Jaleem, it was Scrap. Like I had a foundation and environment of people because everybody was drawn to us. Yeah. And I sit in a funny position because I was the youngest on my dad's side. I was the youngest of his children, but I'm the last first cousin. I'm number 58.
Wow.
I'm the last first cousin.
That's wild.
Right? So
you said 58?
Yeah, I'm the last. My one uncle had 26 kids all by himself.
Oh, God, Papa was a rolling stone. Uncle was out here spitting bars.
Yes, he was.
Get out of here.
He's the king of shooting up the block.
Yeah. Shooting up the block.
Yeah, he was. My Uncle Richie was super. That was him. Like, that was his thing, bro. That was his thing.
All deposits, no withdrawals.
Oh, nah. Wouldn't trust him to pull a piece out of the oven. Absolutely not, sir.
Yo, you gotta love life and you gotta love your family.
Listen, you gotta respect it. Like you talking about being a shooter, man. Steph Curry around the way, you hear me?
Big time. You gotta laugh at that. I'm 7 kids in. They call me a skeeter. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm all with my wife. You know, thank God I survived all my craziness. Like it's all in house.
Right. Please don't put none of them pictures on the back of your van. We don't want to see all them pictures, them little emojis on the back of the van. But now, bro, when I tell you, like
58,
yeah, man. And so when you went through it, family and community was different back then, and I think that's where it got my public service, because my mom's funeral was like no other. Like I remember like all the heart and soldiers, because we lived in a 2-bedroom in the projects, and I remember we never used to lock our door, because everybody had access to our house. Whether you
this is one of my favorite conversations.
Whether you was a wayward kid, you was prostituting, like people knew that my door was always open, and my mom loved on everybody equally. And I always tell people I got so many cousins and sisters and brothers, because my parents like was open to raising everybody. Like my dad made sure haircuts was given, and he made sure that those encouraging words was there. Cousins, who moms was, drug addicts or going through their addiction moments, made sure that 8th grade graduations and proms and stuff and haircuts was taken care of. And a part of that is what pushed me, because again, when you go back to when I lost my mom, that was kind of when my only way to pay it back or to make her proud of me was to try to find a way to serve. And I remember I was in the library reading something one day, and I was down on my luck, and I had read a quote by Gandhi that said, if you ever want to find yourself, lose yourself in the service of others.
There you go.
And so right around this time, again, I run into councilman at the time. And he's like, bro, just come hang out with me. So I would go to the office and just kick it with him.
Yep.
And things wasn't working out. His partners had just separated. They went off into other ventures. And he's like, bro, I need help. And so I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll figure it out.
Sure.
So as I'm figuring things out, it puts me in a position where I want to educate people. So I'm one of those people that I will go down a rabbit hole trying to educate myself in it. I always
love it.
Tell people I beat people with time because I can master. If you give me time, I'm going to master some stuff. And so that's my greatest asset because it goes back to my original side. Growing up in the projects, I was considered to be my dad consigliere.
Okay. Mafia terms right there. Yeah,
so
yeah.
In a sense, that's like everybody knew me as consigliere Pop. Like that was me growing up because my dad would always say, "What do you see?"
Man, really?
Yeah, his conversation was, "What do you see?"
Man, he was really trying to pull things out of you. What do you see? What's your outlook? What are you getting from this?
Hey, my dad used to always say, I don't want you to follow. I raised you to think."
Come on, man.
Because what happens is, my father said, if I tell you what to do when I'm not around, you'll follow the next strongest person.
Boy, Popz was out here landing thick on you, bro.
Right.
Man. This is the power. This is the power that men hold in our society.
And it's all going to draw in together because everything plays one part, even though I'm skipping back and forth.
No, it's good. So you in this, you've been the beginning of this, executive director. And I got to go here. Like Dupree Kelly is, platinum winning. The face, for lack of better terms, of the Lords of the Underground, Chief Rocker. He's that dude, right? So at this point, he's done some of that. And now he's at a different stage, but y'all building a resume and building this thing in the community.
And it's a hard bucket because he's leaving me to be the driving force about something he built. This is his baby.
Yeah,
like it's different, right? People who fail to realize is like, hey, here you go, bro. You got it. I trust you. And the thing is, no degree. No nothing. He trusts me because of the body of work that I've been able to create.
Yeah.
He's like, I trust you to be able to get it done.
That's beautiful.
And so through that, we've been able to create, I'm talking about change. Like one of the biggest change was, I remember COVID came.
Yeah.
And it changed how I looked at him because I remember people was calling from everywhere. And they were offering him money to be able to get introductions to places.
Sure.
Right? And he's like, nah. We don't do that. And so we in the room having a conversation and he's like, you know why? Because I'll be responsible to the fallout of this, even if it's by an introduction. So I'm responsible, even if other people are totally responsible. And so he was like, nah.
I love it. A good name is better than silver and gold.
Absolutely, because that's all you have. And then at that point, it's like, we in a room, nobody knows this. It's just me and him. And it wasn't no little offerings, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, bro, we stand for something.
Let's go.
And so
go.
He calls me and says, we got to feed our people. I'll never forget this. It was a Saturday. He was like, people hungry. I don't know what to do. He was like, the resources are coming.
Yeah.
We at the time he's nothing. He's just the founder of a nonprofit, and he's like, what can we do?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll figure it out.
This is how real impact really starts, though. Like, as amazing as this is, it sounds. This is how real life-changing impact starts. It's a man with a hope, a belief, and a will. Right, and someone that actually believes in it. What's going on, everybody? David Tyree here, your favorite Super Bowl 42 champion, author of The Greatest Catch in Super Bowl History. But here's the catch for today. I want you to take a moment, think about what it's going to take for you to unlock the next step of mastery within your team, your organization, even your small business. Visit davidtyree85.com and check out some of these keynotes. Elevate integrity. Talk about self-awareness as a superpower. How to position your managers to be more self-aware and well-positioned for growth, advancement, and sustainability. Oh my goodness, Real Men Work. This is geared toward all of our men having the right attitude and disposition about work. This is for everyone looking to be the best, the peak pinnacle parent, the peak pinnacle father, the peak pinnacle leader. Make sure you check that out. And my absolute favorite, The Art of Being Coachable. This is something that all of us need. We lean in on humility, self-awareness, accountability, and how to be adaptable. Make sure you check out the website. We want to be an absolute asset to your growth and your high performance. davidtyree85.com.
I tell people I'm the Michael Jordan of solutions. Bring me a problem, and I promise I got something for you. No, and I think that's my gift and my curse, because I take on more than I'm supposed to sometimes, and then we'll get back to that. But
most servants do.
I'm sitting on the phone. I'm sitting there. I'm Googling. I'm like, man, what am I going to do? Where am I going to find this food from? And I stumble across some stuff online, but the food was coming out of Washington, D.C. It was coming from a plant out there where they was trying. It was like a HelloFresh type of place. And they're like, all right, I called them and just said, hey, I need food. I know you guys have it. It might be going bad. I just started calling, and they said, okay, we got you. They was like, when do you want it? I said, Monday. The lady, and she says, huh? I said, yeah, Monday.
Yeah.
I said, I know from the sound of your voice you can make miracles happen.
Yeah.
And we need a miracle. Because at that time, everything was closed. There was nothing happening. And she said, hold on. And then she says, how much do you need? I said, everything.
Whatever you got.
Everything. Monday, 9 o'clock, we dropped 70,000 pounds of food. Here was the caveat to that. No one would give us a facility.
Get out of here.
Because it was COVID. And they was about to run the risk. And I remember I just sent out a Hail Mary text. Shout out to Roger Leone. I love Roger and Dr. Ortiz.
I love those moments where you just like, yo.
Listen, I sent out a text and I said, I got a good problem.
Yeah.
And they're like, call you back. This is how I was told. It's always meant for things to happen.
Absolutely.
Said, we can't give you school by law. There's a parking lot across the street that's not attached to the school.
Beautiful.
Drop it right there.
Drop it. Drop it like it's hot.
And that's how we
was able to do it.
Yeah, we was able to do it. And then
70,000 pounds.
70,000 pounds food.
Come on, man.
Yeah, we fed almost
most
4,000
folks ain't seen 70,000 or nothing.
Yeah, a double tractor trailer, bro. Frozen tractor trailer. They dropped. Like it was like no. And I'm to be able to go through
Big
things
shout
like
to 211.
that. Like when you go through things like that, it make you believe in people. Mm-hmm. It make you believe that, you know, what you put out in the world, and if, you know, you're faithful enough to it. Mm-hmm. Because I was always taught there's only two reasons why things don't work out. Mm-hmm. And it's if you have no business doing it, or you're not faithful enough to it.
Now you're talking my language.
And I believe that I've been so faithful to my community and wanting to provide services and wanting to provide tools to allow my people access to the quality of life that they deserve.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That things always work out for me. And I always say I'm blessed beyond because my ability to be able to use the body of work that I've created.
Sure.
It tells the world who I am.
Sure.
Right? But it's also a testament to an old saying is, all sinners have a future, right? And and all faithful people have a past. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at it, I believe in that. And I believe that I lived a life of turmoil and I went through that. Sure. And I had to lose it all, including both of my parents, in order to birth this person that I am today. And so I've been able to serve my community. I've been able to serve my people at a capacity that I don't feel tired. Right?
Man, that's good, bro. Come on, man. Well, you know me. You know I go hard. You know I go hard on the Jesus because Jesus said my yoke is easy and my burden is light.
Right.
That's basically saying like when you start, and there's so many levels when I say God's work. There's intimately God's work, the people who really like working hands on, and there's the extension of God's hand across the world. Right. So God's work is God's work. At the end of the day, when you're talking about the orphan, the widow, the stranger, people who've been disenfranchised, found themselves on the outskirt in need. God loves people, man. So you just hit a whole bag right there. You hit the money bag, but you talked about this redemptive element of kind of entering into being like I don't even feel like I'm working, but I'm working. Right, being at peace and certainty of knowing that what you're doing. All right, so talk to me because you're not just doing this. So you alluded to it. I call it the starving baker. When you find yourself with a servant's disposition, you baking up bread for everybody, but you might be starving yourself. How has that been, right? Because when you adopt the servant's heart, when you understand that there's more purpose in serving than it is than being served, you could find so much meaning in that. You running thin on oil, no matter how good it feels. But the burden is so great too, right? You look out at the knees, the burden is great. How has it been, and like how do you arrive at that? For lack of better terms, I'm not a big believer in balance, but I am a believer in radical obedience that leads you to peace, assurance, health, wellness, and all those things. So, in light of you still a father of 6.
Right.
All right, we ain't even get into that, right? Like, the journey is the journey. You still have personal responsibilities, personal finances, personal goals. Right. What does that look like for Pop, the servant in a community at this stage in your journey?
At first, I always I was trying to figure it out. So I walk into a world that I'm able to create these results because of wisdom, right?
Sure.
And so you don't know how to create value, or you don't know how to put a cost on wisdom.
Come on, bro.
So what happened? So, I used to always say, what was the net worth of Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and Malcolm X? I said, the world makes provisions for me, right? And so things may happen. And so what happened was,
that was a high moment right there.
Right. So because I didn't have a degree, I remember sitting with my advisor, and he's like, "No, bro, you got the results. You got the system.
Big facts.
The problem was now you have to be able to know how to show the value of this system that works.
Call that packaging.
Right. And so he's like, you either got to provide a service or you got to sell a product.
Boom.
Right. And so that's where I started. So I said, all right, let me take a couple steps back. I'm going to take on some people and help them with their businesses. Right. So I'll get back to the business side. So let me go. So 2010, I lose everything. I had a construction company. Me and my uncle, Obama bailed out the banks. I lose everything. Everything. Wife, house, everything gone. So I don't know where to go.
Devastation.
So I only know how to use what I have. I had a couple of dollars put away. So a friend of mine is like, stop bumping your head on trying to get back into construction because you know you need money, whatever. He said, open up a property maintenance company or a cleaning company. He said, because you can do that yourself, and now you don't have to worry about it. I'll tell you one of the crazy. So when I tell you I have nothing, like
nothing.
I call, so I go home, my advisor, JR, he's like, bro, I got you. Me and my wife gonna sponsor your business cards, everything. I go on Craigslist and I'm typing. I do this. Boom, look real nice. I packaged it up. I press send. Dude calls me. And for the one thing that, out of all the things I posted, the one thing he asked me to do, I couldn't do at the time, which was power wash his house. I swear to you, I'm not making this up. So look, this is why I say God has blessed me. I called JR. So when I tell you I'm financially messed up, everything, I called JR. I'm like, bro, dude want me to come power wash his crib, whatever, got the estimate. He basically whatever. I said, I don't have no money. I said, I'm about to probably just swipe my credit card and, you know, go in debt, and then I'll pay the money back after I do it. He says, yo, my contractor just left a power washer here because he had to take some bricks back.
Get out of here.
I'm not playing. So I get the power washer from JR. I don't have money to get there. He loans me $60. I swear to you, I'm not making this up.
This is beautiful.
We go to the house to get the power washer. The trunk is stuck. It won't open.
Oh, you be kidding.
2-door car, Alero. We got to put the power washer on the back seat. We're driving up to the crib. Car starts smoking, bro.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm not making this up. The dude that was supposed to help me doesn't. It's me and my girlfriend power washing his house.
Man. See, these are the moments of humility,
right.
bro.
No, listen. And so we power washed that house, and I remember I took off from there. We made, after I paid everybody their money, made $600. And then I wound up from there. I started building businesses, but from the concept of serving others, right?
Yeah.
So I had companies that I started, and I was looking at, okay, I got friends coming home from jail, at least to be able to give them a job and do different things. I opened up a cleaning company, but the process of my cleaning company was we only worked at night so that people who needed babysitters or whatever could work at night, right? And
Beautiful.
then we opened up a candle company, and then we also owned at one point and still own an event space with the 360s and all the photo booths. And so we took that money and we started building other things. And through all of those failures, the process came where I had a lot of people who would watch Instagram or whatever, and they would be like, oh, I'm going to this company, whatever, but they're charging $1,900. I'm like, nah, it's $125 to start.
Come on, bro.
Right?
This is one of my favorite, like when you talk about starting a company, I see this all the time. And when I say this loosely, I don't want to say like taking advantage of, right? It's like people are putting a value on their service. Right. But if you know that you can go online and start a company for $125, $250, somebody's just going to charge you $1,000 or $1,500 to do it. I can't say they're ripping you off, but I can tell you that they're kind of like, you know, really pressing the premium on their service, right? This is way more simple.
We trust who we trust. And what happens is, a lot of people around us really aren't doing much. They just offering you, they just offering you information. Because here's the thing. I tell you, I operate from wisdom, which means that I took some information and I put it to action and it rendered a result, good, bad, or indifferent.
Applied knowledge.
Right. So now, guess what happens? Now I was able to take this information and I'm helping people.
Sure.
But not only do I help you set up, I help people create playbooks, right?
Beautiful. Because
everything is a language. I even teach people how to talk to the bank and what you're going in the bank to ask.
Excellent.
Over the past year, I think I've helped about 40 people in total. And no one has never walked out the bank with less than $5,500 in business credit.
Man.
Let me give you the other part of that.
Gang.
Never done a business plan.
Woo! Did y'all hear?
Never done a business plan.
Never did a business plan.
Because I realized that the business plan is their opportunity to tell you no.
My goodness gracious. Hey, listen, that'll cause you to rethink your whole psychology right there. Well, here's the reality. I've learned this through my experiences that there's a few different ways that people get things done. Meaning, like, you know, that there's 3 primary ways that people find success. At the end of the day, your name is all you got. So your character, your name, and your reputation are kind of tied together, right? Then you have your experience or your credibility, right? So the more experience that you have, but there's 2 ways that you gain experience through how you learn or by what you do. So you have the school of doing. You got the real game. And actually, Jesus said, you do and then you shall know.
Right.
Whereas most of us in the world, we kind of like, I don't know, so I don't want to do. That's the fear factor.
Right.
Whereas like, hey, you fail fast, you're going to learn.
Right.
So everything that I'm listening to you, Pop, it's like, nah, my man got it. So the business plan is in here, right? And the last way is favor or relationships, right? So you got 3 pillars that people find ways to get things done is, man, sometimes you could be wildly likable and somebody's going to bring you into an opportunity. Right. And everybody needs, I'm going to tell you, that's what most of us in the minority community need is that person to say, come here, let me show you. And that's what, honestly, I'll tell people I've had a handful of experience, but I never have these massively horrific experiences with white people. Yeah. Now, they don't owe you. People, like, we got the old mentality, like, no, we need somebody to show us. But no one owes you anything. And that's really the biggest detriment to so many people, not just us. It's like we feel like somebody owes us something in light of our unfair, right? There's been some unfair things that have happened historically that's caused the minority community to be at a disadvantage. Absolutely. But no one owes you anything in the human experience. What would be nice is if somebody created or gave me the information that they've had for 4 centuries.
Yeah, I think too also is despite of. I operate in a world of despite of. Despite the fact that when I wake up, I understand that I was born into a disadvantage. I understand the fact that I was miseducated or undereducated or underprotected or underloved or underprovided for. Despite all of that, I still have to move forward because I now have to create my own mechanism. 2 of those things. Safe passage for other people to have someone to trust and understand that they'll, if all else fails, someone's going to walk well with them, right? 2, I have to be a standard and a guidance for my own children.
Come on, bro.
Right?
Now we talk about legacy.
Right? Because if I tell my children that I'm afraid of what may be out there, the boogeyman, then I'm teaching my kids that there's a boogeyman that exists.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I have to be my own hero first.
Got to be a Ghostbuster, right? Baby.
Absolutely. Secondly, you always know that you own the right and the responsibility to use who and what you are to make others better. And a part of that is that's how it becomes what I've been so blessed to do.
Yeah.
Is because I just have the ability to find information and I have the ability to break it down. The same way how, when we talk about it, the same way how I created the coloring books and things of that nature. It came from, I found the problem, right? 3 things, right? Sure. What's the rule of 3, right? You find one problem, you find 3 viable solutions, and then you work all 3 of them until one of them render the results that fit you best.
Boom.
Right?
And that fits you best.
Right.
And that's subjective, right? I mean,
right. Fits you best.
Fits you best.
Because even success is interchangeable because, right, success for me, I remember at one point was my ability to be able to just have a wallet.
Come on, bro. This is why this pod literally exists. This conversation right here, that's the whole thing. You can't define success based off someone else's success, right? You can't define what makes your life meaningful based off somebody else's moment.
Right.
Right? We can be inspired by it. We could but I'm listening to Pop. I'm like, yo, this dude is the man. This dude is the man because I never had that. Right. I've had something else that maybe other people might want, but I've never had that because that's what's so amazing and unique about your pathway to meaning and success. Super powerful.
I think sometimes, to be honest with you, the reason why a lot of people fall short of their own successes, and it's something I had to learn, is God bless who you are, not who you pretend to be.
Yo, come on.
Right?
Who are you?
No, and it's honest, right? And here's the
authenticity
thing.
Is what he's talking about. That's right. The nice formulated word.
But here's the other part. You don't get to reap the success of using someone else as the conduit, right? Because if I'm with you, but I'm not operating in my own natural form and God-given purpose, right? I'm going to see my success as yours, and it's not. I have a responsibility of why I passed through this earth and I have to leave it here.
Yeah.
Right? And so I don't get to blame my shortcomings because I'm riding and supporting you and your purpose.
Come on,
right?
bro.
Sometimes people think, oh, I helped him with his purpose, but it wasn't your purpose.
Right? And your purpose was to serve, right. And you still have something that's uniquely yours.
Right.
Right? I call it like everybody, like we find that there's dependence, there's independence, and then there's interdependence.
Right.
What everyone needs to strive for is interdependence. Like you have something that's uniquely crafted for us as individuals, humans in the earth. And what you're talking about is like, hey, man, I got to be accountable and have the full expectation for what's truly mine, regardless of how I serve, right. Knowing that my reward's coming maybe from, hey, I've been there, bro. I done did my part as a special teams player, as a guy who helped the Giants with. I wasn't handsomely rewarded for the helmet catch, right. But I got my ring.
Right.
I didn't get a contract, but I got my ring. Like they didn't owe me a contract because I was still under contract.
Right.
And that's kind of how we get into like places of despair where you feel like somebody owes you something because you contributed, but that's not your reward.
Right.
You got to keep plowing through.
You have to, because I think for us as individuals, right, you're not born to be an employee or not even just someone's mother, daughter, wife. Mm-hmm. You have a sole purpose for being here. And that's the two levels of your life. And I always say, I was born and then I remembered on that stage. At that moment, I had the aha moment of what my purpose was. And now my life changed because, right, I always say within your first breath and your last breath, you're going to have a bunch of little mini deaths and rebirths. Mm-hmm. And if you're not okay with saying RIP to certain versions of you, is you fall into shortcomings because you're dragging along, right, certain things that you shouldn't. Understanding that certain wisdoms is meant for you to use as foundation. It's not meant for you to implement all the time, mm-hmm. because sometimes wisdom turns into foolishness if it's outdated.
Come on, bro.
Right? And so when we look at it, we have to be very, very mindful of the information. Information is outdated. You're responsible for identifying in order to rectify. You have to look at who and what you are, right? Be you and love you until being you no longer serves you in your greatest benefit.
Boy, it's the revolution. You got to keep growing, man.
Right. Because what happens is people say, man, I'm going to be like this forever.
That's a curse.
Right.
I tell people all the time, it's a self-imposed curse.
Right.
This is who I am, and this is who I'm always going to be.
Baby, no.
Oh, God, it's terrifying.
Right.
It's terrifying.
And that's the part, because we look at it and it's like, no, you have a responsibility. God put you here and said, listen.
Yeah.
You got choices.
Regardless of what you believe,
you got choices and chances. Right?
Choices and chances.
You got choices and chances. So guess what? There's a fair exchange of energy and value associated with that.
Man, we out here raining nuggets. McDonald's
every morning that God gives you a chance, you have choices to make in order to better yourself.
Big facts.
Right? You have the responsibility to be a better mother, father, employee, stakeholder, community part, whatever it is. Your responsibility is making yesterday better for tomorrow.
All right, bro, you're killing me right here. This is too much for me. I'm on. We in wisdom overload. Talk to me about the journey into authorship, because you're entrepreneurial, your service. Right. I just love it, and we gotta bring in some of your material, so we gotta pull the goodies out the bag.
Right.
Talk to me about this journey into becoming an author and providing these tools and resources for the people that you serve.
So, year and a half ago, I get custody of my children, and I'm an avid reader. Barnes and Noble's one of those great things, or just going to bookstores and things of that nature. And so I was looking for different things to help my kids where they were, especially with the transition, right? And trying to find the things, the tools that help them. And I didn't really find a lot of stuff that looked like them.
Too much. Yeah.
Right? I didn't really find anything that looked like the curly-haired mixture.
As African-American kids, not a lot.
And I don't see the books, right? Because, I was always taught you have to see it in order to become it. Mm-hmm. And so if they don't see themselves in different positions or different greater lights, right, then it's hard for them to imagine, right?
It's
and
true.
Imagining is a part of you dreaming, which is a part of you trying to become.
So true.
A part of that was I said, okay, I'm gonna start creating it, right? And so I journaled a lot throughout my life, and I kept composition books and different things that I wanted to do because it's mind dumping, right? Want to be able to sleep at night. You know, they always say a short pen is way better than a long memory, right? So
look at this guy right here, bro.
I would write down a lot of things, and so it would allow me to process life better.
This dude is my God.
I'm dead serious. So,
but this is, and just in case y'all missing this is your mental health. This is, you know, like, because, you know, you got to insert certain things so that people can see how we're actually becoming whole. It's the simplest things that give us peace and clarity.
Right.
It's actually just writing down and emoting or emitting thoughts. Talking out loud is emoting, right? Getting emotions out. Writing is a form of emoting. So when you talk about clarity, peace, assurance, and then journaling, you can forget about it. You talk about your legacy can be tied to a pen.
And then two is accountability.
Boom.
So there's two parts of accountability to yourself and accountability to how you create the armor to face the world. And so what happens is, if you don't write it down, you can always tell yourself why you didn't do it, right? But if you put it on paper, it's now live, and now you got to hold yourself accountable to it,
Big
right?
facts.
So one of the things that for my kids that I always pushed was how they talk to themselves. Mm-hmm. I need you to talk to yourself in a manner, two things, that's loving and protective.
It's good.
Right? I need you to know that you're loved. I need you to know that you're beautiful. I need you to know that you are full of potential.
Absolutely.
Before the world try to contradict that.
That's exactly what it's
going
going
to
do.
Because if you don't know it, then you're open to somebody, you're vulnerable to somebody else telling you what you are.
Absolutely.
Right? And so a part of it was me teaching them value of themselves.
Powerful.
Right.
Where's the product at? We got to listen. We ain't got to be cute in here.
Brother got it. It's in that bag.
Where's the bag? Yeah, we got the bag. We got to bring this in. We're gonna keep the live set podcast situation here today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Bring out the bag. Right? Bring the goodie bag.
I'm gonna go through this bag and just explain some of this good work.
Yeah,
actually, I got something in here for you because I know. So, matter of fact, I'm gonna go to that first because. My aunts and my mother went to church every day, right? And she always lit a candle. She went to it. My mom was the vice president of marketing for Hearts Mountain for a long time in Harrison. And she stopped at this church and she would light a candle every day. My mom was like her closest thing to God. She would write letters to God. So what I did was one of the greatest things that I was able to produce in memory of her is a Bible study.
Oh, nice.
And so this one was one of the first ones, and this is for you, brother.
Oh, man, respect. In your name we pray.
Right. And so.
And that SOAP means scripture, observation, application, and prayer.
Right.
This is what I'm living. I'm loving it.
Right. So you put your notes in there, bro, give you a chance for you to whatever off your heart and your mind.
Man, I gotta represent my bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Check the clarity on that, Chief.
Right.
You see me, Chief? You see me having, Chief?
Right.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. And then
dig into that.
Again, going through the theories was mind dumping and just looking at different things. And so there was even simple things, right? Like life's amazing, a mood journey.
You have to show that right to your kid.
So in mood journey, it says make today great. And there's just things that it just tells you to follow. I'm grateful for this today.
Yeah.
What I like about myself, right? How did you sleep? How you feeling today? Are you satisfied with the day? What do you need to do to prepare for tomorrow? Because preparation is very important in winning, right?
Come on, bro. Right? You already know. I know.
Right.
Come on, man.
Because guess what? If you don't plan to win, you plan to fail. And then this one was for my babies, right? So this is called the Daily Affirmation.
Showing the artwork on that cover. That's some beautiful artwork.
And so I'll tell you this story, which these covers was made through AI. I taught myself AI.
You taught yourself?
I taught myself AI. And that's how I was able to generate these pictures. This one is Daily Affirmation for Black Teens. My future is bright, where there's basically things, again, every day. Because if we set our intentions for our day,
sure,
we will put together a body of work that'll tell the world who we are, and we can be satisfied with it.
Bro.
Right?
Where can everybody find your work, and how can people find you and connect with you?
I'm setting up my website. Actually, that's what I was doing today.
Don't worry about it. We're gonna get to it.
Big Fella 119 on Instagram.
There we go.
Rahmean Moore. You can look the books up on Amazon under Rahmean Moore, and then my other writing name is Big Fella SBP. I people always ask me, why do I always add the SBP? Because everything I do is gratitude for all of the people who poured into me that allowed me to be here, and for those that can't be here.
Yeah.
That because of the environment that we live through, either succumb to the environment or something of detriment happened to them that forced them to lose their lives. So I live with it every day. It's and I always believe we're hell-bent at getting even with people for those that do wrong, but we should have that same spirit when it comes to getting even with those that did right by us.
Come on.
Right? We should get up intentionally to pay it forward.
Keep the same energy.
Keep the same energy.
But it's a much more productive energy.
Absolutely.
And I'm about justice. Right. Don't get me wrong. I tell people all the time, it's like, I don't buy into, unnecessary causes. I try to live, relationship causes more authenticity. I mean, like a cause for a cause sake doesn't make sense. If I have relationship that connects me to a cause, then I can give to it, right? That's something a little bit, because there's 1,000 causes,
right,
and they're all needed.
Right.
But I really but when you give your life, your substance, your virtue, your zeal, your energy, whatever word you want to use to something that has a positive action versus a vengeance can be laced with some vitriol.
Absolutely.
Right. And I don't want to that's just me. I've grown to this place where I don't want to be motivated by bitterness or anger or some kind of vitriol. It might have a productive cause because, fear motivates like love, but love is a greater motivator. So I just appreciate you sharing that.
You have to.
Yeah.
And the reality, we sometimes try to darken, or we try to put to bed the deepest part or the darkest part of us.
You got to deal with it.
It's necessary. And the reason why you have to bring it to you is because that's how you keep those alive, right? And that's how you keep the mission of keep it green in your heart and in your mind.
Yeah.
Is because I do this for the love of them. I do this for those that I lost. I do this for my ancestors, right? That I hope that I make them proud. And I'm doing it also to create a light to say, guess what? You can fall, right? You can go through things, right? You can have mental breakdowns. You can't be perfect. It's okay with not being okay, but don't never give up.
Absolutely.
Right? And then always be in the business of finding your purpose.
There it is. Well, listen, bro. Well, listen, I know this won't be the last. This is the beginning.
Oh, no.
These are first fruit seeds, but this was a whole episode, probably one of my favorite dialogues and conversation because we speak the same language and we moving in the same direction. Pop, bruh, let's continue to get great done. I hope every single one of y'all caught the 1,000 bars, okay? Take your time. Take your time, increment by increment, and go through this. There were so many moments of superior value that you can walk away with, implement to your business, your life, and ultimately your eternal, your eternal and your natural pursuit of purpose, right? If you really want to, wrap this whole thing up, this is about pursuing your purpose, having peace, and finding the true solutions along the way to being meaningful. So, Pop, appreciate your life, your story, family.
Thank you, bro.
We're going to keep getting great done. We'll check in with y'all on the next episode. Catch the moment. Deuces.